Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Grant use or occupation of under a term of contract. Let for money. We rented our apartment to friends while we were abroad. An opening made forcibly as by pulling apart. The return derived from cultivated land in excess of that derived from the poorest land cultivated under similar conditions. Hold under a lease or rental agreement, of goods and services. Engage for service under a term of contract. Let's rent a car. The act of rending or ripping or splitting something. A payment or series of payments made by the lessee to an owner for use of some property, facility, equipment, or service. Grant use or occupation of under a term of contract. Let for money. Hold under a lease or rental agreement, of goods and services. Engage for service under a term of contract. The period of time during which a contract conveying property to a person is in effect. Property that is leased or rented out or let. A contract granting use or occupation of property during a specified time for a specified payment. Grant use or occupation of under a term of contract. A brutal terrorist group active in Kashmir fights against India with the goal of restoring Islamic rule of India. Make it possible through a specific action or lack of action for something to happen. A serve that strikes the net before falling into the receiver's court, the ball must be served again. Consent to, give permission. I won't let the police search her basement. Cause to move. Cause to be in a certain position or condition. This let me in for a big surprise. Actively cause something to happen. I let it be known that I was not interested. Leave unchanged. Let it be. A dissolute man in fashionable society. An opening made forcibly as by pulling apart. There was a rip in his pants. Take without the owner's consent. A stretch of turbulent water in a river or the sea caused by one current flowing into or across another current. The act of rending or ripping or splitting something. He gave the envelope a vigorous rip. Tear or be torn violently. The curtain ripped from top to bottom. Criticize or abuse strongly and violently. The candidate ripped into his opponent mercilessly. Cut, wood, along the grain. Move precipitously or violently. The tornado ripped along the coast. An unforeseen obstacle. An opening made forcibly as by pulling apart. She had snags in her stockings. A dead tree that is still standing, usually in an undisturbed forest. A snag can provide food and a habitat for insects and birds. A sharp protuberance. Catch on a snag. I snagged my stocking. Get by acting quickly and smartly. Snag a bargain. Hew jaggedly. Having been divided, having the unity destroyed. A split group. Separate into parts or portions. Discontinue an association or relation. Go different ways. My friend and I split up. Separate or cut with a tool, such as a sharp instrument. An opening made forcibly as by pulling apart. An increase in the number of outstanding shares of a corporation without changing the shareholders' equity. They announced a 2-for-1 split of the common stock. The act of rending or ripping or splitting something. Division of a group into opposing factions. Go one's own way. Move apart. Come open suddenly and violently, as if from internal pressure. A bottle containing half the usual amount. A dessert of sliced fruit and ice cream covered with whipped cream and cherries and nuts. A lengthwise crack in wood. He inserted the wedge into a split in the log. An old Croatian city on the Adriatic Sea. A promised or claimed share of loot or money. He demanded his split before they disbanded. Especially of wood, cut or ripped longitudinally with the grain. We bought split logs for the fireplace. Extending the legs at right angles to the trunk, one in front and the other in back. 10-pin bowling. A divided formation of pins left standing after the first bowl. He was winning until he got a split in the 10th frame. A drop of the clear salty saline solution secreted by the lacrimal glands. His story brought tears to her eyes. Strip of feathers. An occasion for excessive eating or drinking. Move quickly and violently. Separate or cause to separate abruptly. Tear the paper. An opening made forcibly as by pulling apart. Fill with tears or shed tears. Her eyes were tearing. The act of tearing. He took the manuscript in both hands and gave it a mighty tear. To separate or be separated by force. The return derived from cultivated land in excess of that derived from the poorest land cultivated under similar conditions. Hold under a lease or rental agreement, of goods and services. Engage for service under a term of contract. A contract to hire or lease transportation. A document incorporating an institution and specifying its rights, includes the Articles of Incorporation and the Certificate of Incorporation. Grant a charter to. Engage or hire for work. They hired 2 new secretaries in the department. Hold under a lease or rental agreement, of goods and services. Engage for service under a term of contract. A newly hired employee. The new hires need special training. The act of hiring something or someone. He signed up for a week's car hire. Consume all of one's attention or time. Carry out or participate in an activity, be involved in. They engaged in a discussion. Engage or hire for work. Give to in marriage. Carry on, wars, battles, or campaigns. Engage for service under a term of contract. Keep engaged. Engage the gears. Hire for work or assistance. Engage aid, help, services, or support. Ask to represent, of legal counsel. Get caught. Make sure the gear is engaged. The income or profit arising from such transactions as the sale of land or other property. Be capable of holding or containing. This box won't take all the items. Remove something concrete, as by lifting, pushing, or taking off, or remove something abstract. Take the gun from your pocket. Serve oneself to, or consume regularly. I don't take sugar in my coffee. Make a film or photograph of something. Take a scene. Be designed to hold or take. This surface will not take the dye. Require time or space. Take somebody somewhere. Can you take me to the main entrance? Have sex with. Archaic use. He had taken this woman when she was most vulnerable. Have with oneself. Have on one's person. She always takes an umbrella. Receive or obtain regularly. We take the Times every day. Admit into a group or community. Head into a specified direction. Pick out, select, or choose from a number of alternatives. Take into consideration for exemplifying purposes. Assume, as of positions or roles. Interpret something in a certain way. Convey a particular meaning or impression. How should I take this message? Lay claim to, as of an idea. Accept or undergo, often unwillingly. Make use of or accept for some purpose. Take a risk. Take something or somebody with oneself somewhere. Engage for service under a term of contract. Shall we take a guide in Rome? Be stricken by an illness, fall victim to an illness. Take on a certain form, attribute, or aspect. Take as an undesirable consequence of some event or state of affairs. Get into one's hands, take physically. Can you take this bag, please? Require as useful, just, or proper. It takes nerve to do what she did. Occupy or take on. Receive willingly something given or offered. Be a student of a certain subject. Proceed along in a vehicle. Point or cause to go, blows, weapons, or objects such as photographic equipment, towards. Ascertain or determine by measuring, computing or take a reading from a dial. Take a pulse. Be seized or affected in a specified way. Take sick. Buy, select. I'll take a pound of that sausage. Carry out. Take action. Experience or feel or submit to. Obtain by winning. Winner takes all. Take by force. Take into one's possession. I'll take 3 salmon steaks. The act of photographing a scene or part of a scene without interruption. Travel or go by means of a certain kind of transportation, or a certain route. He takes the bus to work. Grant the services of or the temporary use of, for a fee. We rent out our apartment to tourists every year. Be the cause or source of. Give entirely to a specific person, activity, or cause. Give one's talents to a good cause. The elasticity of something that can be stretched and returns to its original length. Transmit, knowledge or skills. Give a secret to the Russians. Move in order to make room for someone for something. Bestow. Give homage. Give food to. Don't give the child this tough meat. Give or supply. Convey or communicate. Of a smile, a look, a physical gesture. Be flexible under stress of physical force. This material doesn't give. Contribute to some cause. Bestow, especially officially. Give a divorce. Dedicate. Give thought to. Break down, literally or metaphorically. Place into the hands or custody of. Organize or be responsible for. Give a course. Bring about. Convey, as of a compliment, regards, attention, etc., bestow. Give the orders. Afford access to. The French doors give onto a terrace. Give or convey physically. Give as a present. Make a gift of. What will you give her for her birthday? Endure the loss of. Cause to happen or be responsible for. Accord by verdict. Give a decision for the plaintiff. Allow to have or take. I give you 2 minutes to respond. Cause to have, in the abstract sense or physical sense. Consent to engage in sexual intercourse with a man. Convey or reveal information. Deliver in exchange or recompense. I'll give you 3 books for 4 CDs. Emit or utter. Give a yelp. Estimate the duration or outcome of something. Execute and deliver. Give, as medicine. Guide or direct, as by behavior of persuasion. Inflict as a punishment. Leave with. Give temporarily. Can I give you my keys while I go in the pool? Manifest or show. This student gives promise of real creativity. Occur. What gives? Offer in good faith. Perform for an audience. Present to view. Proffer, a body part. Propose. Submit for consideration, judgment, or use. Give one's opinion. Transfer possession of something concrete or abstract to somebody. Can you give me lessons? Enter into a contractual arrangement. Promise to do or accomplish. Accept as a charge. Enter upon an activity or enterprise. Accept as a challenge. Become smaller or draw together. Enter into a contractual arrangement. Reduce in scope while retaining essential elements. Contract bridge. The highest bid becomes the contract setting the number of tricks that the bidder must make. Make or become more narrow or restricted. A variety of bridge in which the bidder receives points toward game only for the number of tricks he bid. Compress or concentrate. Engage by written agreement. Squeeze or press together. The spasm contracted the muscle. Be stricken by an illness, fall victim to an illness. A binding agreement between two or more persons that is enforceable by law. Make smaller. The heat contracted the woolen garment. An act of delaying or interrupting the continuity. There was a gap in his account. An open or empty space in or between things. The explosion made a gap in the wall. A narrow opening. A conspicuous disparity or difference as between two figures. Gap between income and outgo. A pass between mountain peaks. Make an opening or gap in. A difference, especially an unfortunate difference, between two opinions or two views or two situations. An open or empty space in or between things. There was a small opening between the trees. A recognized sequence of moves at the beginning of a game of chess. He memorized all the important chess openings. An aperture or hole that opens into a bodily cavity. A possible alternative. An entrance equipped with a hatch, especially a passageway between decks of a ship. The first of a series of actions. The first performance, as of a theatrical production. The opening received good critical reviews. A ceremony accompanying the start of some enterprise. A vacant or unobstructed space that is man-made. They left a small opening for the cat at the bottom of the door. Becoming open or being made open. The opening of his arms was the sign I was waiting for. First or beginning. The memorable opening bars of Beethoven's Fifth. Opportunity especially for employment or promotion. There is an opening in the sales department. The act of opening something. The ray of light revealed his cautious opening of the door. The initial part of the introduction. The opening established the basic theme. A phenomenon that follows and is caused by some previous phenomenon. The income or profit arising from such transactions as the sale of land or other property. Circulate or distribute or equip with. Issue a new uniform to the children. Come out of. Water issued from the hole in the wall. The act of issuing printed materials. One of a series published periodically. She found an old issue of the magazine in her dentist's waiting room. An opening that permits escape or release. The canyon had only one issue. The becoming visible. Prepare an issue for public distribution or sale. Supplies, as food or clothing or ammunition, issued by the government. The immediate descendants of a person. He died without issue. The act of providing an item for general use or for official purposes, usually in quantity. A new issue of stamps. Make out an issue. Some situation or event that is thought about. An important question that is in dispute and must be settled. The issue could be settled by requiring public education for everyone. Bring out an official document, such as a warrant. The income or profit arising from such transactions as the sale of land or other property. The income or profit arising from such transactions as the sale of land or other property. The average return was about 5%. The key on electric typewriters or computer keyboards that causes a carriage return and a line feed. Document giving the tax collector information about the taxpayer's tax liability. His gross income was enough that he had to file a tax return. Go back to a previous state. Elect again. A coming to or returning home. On his return from Australia, we gave him a welcoming party. Happening again, especially at regular intervals. The return of spring. Be restored. Her old vigor returned. Give or supply. Pass down. Pay back. Go back to something earlier. Getting something back again. Bring back to the point of departure. The act of someone appearing again. Answer back. Give back. A quick reply to a question or remark, especially a witty or critical one. Be inherited by. The land returned to the family. The occurrence of a change in direction back in the opposite direction. A reciprocal group action. In return, we gave them as good as we got. American football. The act of running back the ball after a kickoff or punt or interception or fumble. A tennis stroke that sends the ball back to the other player. He won the point on a cross-court return. Go or come back to place, condition, or activity where one has been before. Return to your native land. Make a return. Return a kickback. Return in kind. Return a compliment. Return to a previous position, in mathematics. The point returned to the interior of the figure. Submit, a report, etc., to someone in authority. The act of going back to a prior location. They set out on their return to the base camp. The income or profit arising from such transactions as the sale of land or other property. The income or profit arising from such transactions as the sale of land or other property. Payment made to a person in a position of trust to corrupt his judgment. A recompense for worthy acts or retribution for wrongdoing. The final payment of a debt. The income or profit arising from such transactions as the sale of land or other property. Be the cause or source of. End resistance, as under pressure or force. The door yielded to repeated blows with a battering ram. Move in order to make room for someone for something. Consent reluctantly. Give or supply. This year's crop yielded 1,000 bushels of corn. Be flexible under stress of physical force. Give in, as to influence or pressure. Give over. Surrender or relinquish to the physical control of another. The quantity of something, as a commodity, that is created, usually within a given period of time. Be willing to concede. Bring in. Production of a certain amount. An amount of a product. Be fatally overwhelmed. Cause to happen or be responsible for. Cease opposition. Stop fighting. Come to have or undergo a change of physical features and attributes. Gain through experience. I acquired a strong aversion to television. Gain knowledge or skills. Children acquire language at an amazing rate. Win something through one's efforts. I acquired a passing knowledge of Chinese. Come into the possession of something concrete or abstract. They acquired a new pet. Take on a certain form, attribute, or aspect. Locate, a moving entity, by means of a tracking system such as radar. Reach with a blow or hit in a particular spot. Come to have or undergo a change of physical features and attributes. Leave immediately. Used usually in the imperative form. Perceive by hearing. She didn't get his name when they met the first time. Undergo, as of injuries and illnesses. Make, offspring, by reproduction. Give certain properties to something. Get someone mad. Be a mystery or bewildering to. Suffer from the receipt of. Receive as a retribution or punishment. Take vengeance on or get even. We'll get them. Achieve a point or goal. Move into a desired direction of discourse. Go through, mental or physical states or experiences. Get an idea. Irritate. Her childish behavior really get to me. Take the first step or steps in carrying out an action. Let's get down to work now. Succeed in catching or seizing, especially after a chase. Apprehend and reproduce accurately. Enter or assume a certain state or condition. It must be getting more serious. Attract and fix. Receive a specified treatment, abstract. Earn or achieve a base by being walked by the pitcher. Be stricken by an illness, fall victim to an illness. Cause to move. Cause to be in a certain position or condition. Come into the possession of something concrete or abstract. Cause to do. Cause to act in a specified manner. Reach a destination. Arrive by movement or progress. She didn't get to Chicago until after midnight. Go or come after and bring or take back. Grasp with the mind or develop an understanding of. Did you get it? Acquire as a result of some effort or action. You cannot get water out of a stone. A return on a shot that seemed impossible to reach and would normally have resulted in a point for the opponent. Communicate with a place or person. Establish communication with, as if by telephone. The operator couldn't get Kobe because of the earthquake. Evoke an emotional response. Brahms's Requiem gets me every time. Overcome or destroy. Purchase. What did you get at the toy store? Reach and board. Reach by calculation. What do you get when you add up these numbers? An annuity paid in a series of more or less equal payments at the beginning of equally spaced periods. Rent payable in advance constitutes an annuity in advance for the landlord. Lease or rent all or part of, a leased or rented property, to another person. A lease from one lessee to another. Lease or rent all or part of a leased or rented property to another person. We sublet our apartment over the summer. A lease from one lessee to another. Very low or nominal rent. Payment for the right to occupy and improve a piece of land.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.